Hello and welcome to AEF TV in association with Engerati. I'm now joined by Sudha from Shake Your Power. Firstly, welcome. Thanks for making the time to be here, especially after nearly 2.5 days of a conference, which can be pretty intense. The first thing I wanted to do is, and my first question is, kind of giving you a platform to explain what you're doing almost, So tell us a little bit about what Shake Your Power is all about and what you're trying to achieve there.
So the reason why the initiative that I founded is called Shake Your Power is because it's exactly that. It's about using your own power by shaking, more specifically, a musical instrument that I've developed called Spark. Effectively it's about distributing these musical instruments to areas within Africa off-grid where people can create their own power, use their own power to create their own energy.
And before we dive a little bit further into that, I watched your TED Talk, by the way, and tell us a little bit about the inspiration, that moment you picked out in your TED Talk where you were like going, hang on a minute, there's something here.
Yeah. Well, my background is that I've been a professional musician for the last 20 years, playing with people like the Spice Girls, Kylie Minogue, Dido. So I've been very privileged and humbled by being able to perform in front of hundreds and thousands of people. And as you can imagine, and as you know from having gone to music concerts, I'm sure, there's a lot of energy within the crowd, and there's a lot of energy and power when people come together. And I'd say that was the main inspiration initially for me to even begin the concept of thinking, could this energy be harnessed and could it be used for anything else? So then there was this one specific instance that I'm sure you're referring to from my TED Talk, where I was performing in front of 100,000 people. The crowd were all stamping their feet in time to the music, and they caused an earthquake. And yes, there's a lot of power in that, and that was really the pivotal point where I thought, right, I've got to do something with this. So I started to develop the concept and the idea of harnessing that into the smallest thing that I knew. I'm a percussionist, so I thought, right, let's go for a portable instrument, let's trial this out, see if it works. Met a product designer from the RCA, and we've developed a musical instrument called Spark. I should have it on me, really.
You should, but let's bring it to life a little bit.
Yeah.
So it looks like quite a cool little sort of with squares and like a ball almost, but not a ball.
Yes.
You shake it, makes a lot of noise, and in that shaking it charges a battery or something like that.
Yeah.
Which and then you've got this got a thing coming out of it, and it's got an LED light on it.
That's right. So that the shaker that you would have seen in the TED Talk was the proof of concept shaker. We've now got it to pre-manufacturing stage, and it's multifaceted. So yes, it does look like a ball. The kind of the story behind that is that it was inspired. The inspiration was from two rocks being rubbed together, so it looks like a rock, created for the first spark, hence the name. And yes, 12 minutes of playing it. The idea is that through music, through the joy of playing music, through fun, it's something that people do everywhere throughout the world, obviously in Africa. You can play and create your own power. So literally 12 minutes of playing will generate 1 hour of light, and we have an additional solar panel so that you can now effectively charge up your smartphone in the matter of hours.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you don't put something together without trying to solve a problem.
Right.
So let's talk about the problem for a second.
Absolutely. I mean, the problem is it's quite apparent. There are many people in off-grid areas within Africa still using kerosene. It's extremely dangerous for health.
And expensive.
And this provides a fun solution, an effective solution to that. It also it goes beyond that, and we were looking at the ways that we could really impact people in the biggest way. Education is perhaps one of the biggest, and so we're using Spark as an educational tool, both by providing it for children to go home and read at night, but also we're in the early stages of developing Spark as an educational assembly kit. So it will come flat packed, you've got the component parts, you've got the electronics, and children will learn about STEM subjects, so science, technology, engineering, music in this case.
By putting it together.
By putting it together, learning about how solar works, learning about how magnetic induction works. And certainly where we've beta tested in Kenya, certainly the teachers that I went to visit in various schools there were saying that these technologies, they're already taught on the national curriculum, but what children don't have is a practical application, and that's what these kits will provide.
Yeah, because they're kind of quite distant or almost theoretical,
That's right.
And this kind. Then again, it's just going a bit deeper into that. So, it's solving that problem of light and charging a mobile phone, which actually, ironically, there are kind of more mobile phones in Africa than so that's solving a very obvious fraud. I got to charge this thing because the farmers look up their trading prices, and it's amazing what gets done over the mobile phone.
Definitely, M-Pesa, and also many people still have to walk long distances to charge their phones. And for Kenya, an example, it's roughly 75% of people that have a mobile phone, and 75% of people obviously need to charge them up. They live in off-grid areas, so.
And so, in terms of again, Shake Your Power that you've set up, explain a little bit more about what the objective is. Is the objective to give these kits away, or
So the idea is empowerment in the best possible way. So the first question is, how do we, me being from the West and living in London, how do we access the Western market and get that working for places, off-grid areas in Africa? So we're adopting a TOMS model, a one-for-one model. So people in the West will buy one. The price point is such that sends one to the developing world.
Right.
What we're also investigating, we're currently looking for different manufacturing routes. We've been talking to people in Hong Kong, and we've got a Chinese manufacturer. What we really want to do is perhaps source the different component parts from different areas and set up local jobs within African countries. So assembling within Africa and being able to do that. So.
And are you also looking at sort of things like perhaps a bit more of an open source model, where you say, like, look, if you've got the wherewithal and you can build this thing, here's how it's done.
Absolutely. And for myself as the founder, I'm fully encouraging that to happen. If somebody in rural Tanzania can make this better, fantastic, brilliant. I would love to see it be improved on. The educational kits too. A big part of this is encouraging innovation. I think innovation is essentially about connecting dots that are already there, and essentially what we've produced is something not that complicated. It was just applying and connecting the dots. So if people can be encouraged to do that, particularly children, fantastic.
So can I ask you another question? So you're at a forum like this where people are talking about building whacking great big power plants and stuff like that. What's your take on what's happening here?
I mean, to be honest, I've found it quite overwhelming because I've been so focused on working from the bottom up, going out on the ground and making sure these shakers are distributed en masse and taken to scale, but obviously it's a small power unit compared to these guys. So to be honest, I've been quite intrigued and overwhelmed by what's happening. It's still a new learning curve for me. So I've been very young in this, been going a year, so. And
is there anything that you've kind of found out here where you're like, I never knew that,
Yes.
or I get it now, I understand why, what the...
Hydropower. It's very similar in technology to what we're doing with the shaker. So that's been a big thing. It's like, okay, we're not actually doing things that are that dissimilar from these large scale people.
Yeah. And as we kind of come to the end of our time here, it's like, how do you think? And it's sometimes great to have an external viewpoint, because that sometimes opens up imaginations, or people see things from a different angle. How do you think that we ought to accelerate power delivery to rural areas? And this is not just an African issue. We got this issue on a global basis.
Yes.
What would be your take?
I would say that the larger companies keep doing what they're doing, but also they listen to people on the ground, they listen to communities, because there's a lot of innovation going on there. And I think if the companies and people listen to communities that are there, I think that certainly could open up avenues that people aren't actually in tune to.
And I know that you've spent, as you say, a lot of time on the ground, particularly in Kenya.
Yes.
Have you seen anything which you found, well, that is innovative? This community, that is just so great and it's cool, and I wish I could tell other people about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly in my experience out there, it wasn't necessarily that the things I saw were new. It's just that people were doing inventive things. So, for example, dynamoing up their bicycles and turning them into mopeds with very little. I think it's the innovation that I saw was more to do with using parts and bits of scrap metal to make things work. Necessity is the mother of invention, so I think you really see that at that level. Perfect.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks again for taking the time to talk with us, and thank you as well for watching. It's been another interview, and one I very much was looking forward to, from AEF TV in association with Engerati. Thank you very much.